I watched the boat sail away and felt panic rising inside me. Wait, I felt like Jack Sparrow marooned by pirates on a desert island. How had it come to this? Ohayou, I'm Naomi. Are you wondering why I greeted you in Japanese? I just really love anime. When I was a kid, I saw an animated film directed by Hayao Miyazaki on TV. Hayao Miyazaki is a famous Japanese director. He even won 2 Oscars. It was love at first sight. Ever since then, I watched tons of anime. I even kept a diary to keep track of everything I watched. My parents supported my hobby. They even gave me money for merch. I turned my room into an anime fan's paradise. However, my older brother Chuck kept ruining everything. Hey, give it back! He would burst into my room and wreak havoc there. Eventually, I convinced our parents to get a lock for my door. Things went from bad to worse when I got a boyfriend. Chris was very sweet and caring. He gave me nice presents and treated me like a queen. But for some reason, Chuck took an instant dislike to him. I don't want to see you in our house. My boyfriend will come here whenever he wants. We can hang out at my place. Ugh. One day, a new kid was transferred to Chuck's class. His name was Zayn. He quickly became the most popular guy in school and Chuck's best friend. He's so handsome. His dad's company builds boats. They're filthy rich. Unlike the other girls, I thought Zayn was an arrogant narcissist, just like my brother. One day, I was watching a new anime series at home when Chuck and Zayn burst into the living room. Zayn immediately came up to me. Are you watching cartoons, kid? Who are you calling a kid? And it's anime. Let's go to my room, Zayn. My little sister has always been a weirdo. I wanted to throw something heavy at him, but instead put on my headphones and turned up the volume. One day, Chris and I went on a walk through the city. We ran into the last people I wanted to see. Zayn pointedly shoved Chris with his shoulder as he walked past us. Watch where you're going. You should keep better company. Great advice. That's the reason I don't hang out with you. Zayn was as mad at Chris as my brother. They were always looking for an excuse to pick on him. One day, I was on my way to class when one of my classmates ran up to me. Naomi, you should hurry. I think Chris got into a fight. I ran out into the schoolyard and saw Zayn shouting at my boyfriend. Stay away from Naomi. If I ever see you with her again, are you actually threatening me? Zayn crossed a line. I ran up to the boys and stood between them. Stop it. What's going on here? Go to class, everyone. Chris and I agreed to go to the cinema after school. I waited for him for half an hour, but he never came. We need to break up. You're cute, but your brother and his friend are psychos. Chris didn't even let me say anything before he hung up. I tried to call him again, but he turned off the phone. Our breakup came as a complete shock to me. When I got home, Chuck was playing computer games like nothing happened. That was the last straw for me. Hey, I almost passed the level. I don't care about your stupid game. You and Zayn are ruining my life. What are you talking about? Your buddy's the reason I got dumped. Why was it so easy then, huh? Doesn't seem like Chris loves you. Dang it was unbearable. I went to my room and slammed the door shut. That evening, all I did was listen to sad Japanese music and feel sorry for myself and my broken heart. Although somewhere deep inside, I agreed with Chuck. If Chris really loved me, he wouldn't have given up so easily. Despite that, I didn't speak to Chuck for a few days. I left for school before him and even skipped the last classes to avoid running into him. And then, one day, I came home and accidentally overheard Chuck talking to our parents. Chuck was trying to convince them to let him go to some teen camp. That was my chance to get back at him. I walked into the living room and was about to ask Mom and Dad to not let him go when, okay, you can go, but Naomi's coming with you. We're going on a business trip for a week. She can't stay home alone. What the what? I don't want to. All right, I paid for you too. Good luck at camp. I locked myself in my room again and refused to come out. Mom left food by my door. I ate it late at night after everyone had gone to sleep. Of course, my rebellion was soon ruthlessly suppressed. Mom and Dad had a spare key to my room, so they opened the door and Mom made me get ready for the trip. Resigned, I packed my clothes and diary. Then I closed my suitcase and put a cool cover on it. I only bought it recently and it was a tight fit. Whew. The next morning, Mom and Dad drove us to the airport. I was in for another unpleasant surprise. Sorry, I didn't think she'd tag along. What? It's not like I wanted to be there. Zayn and Chuck quickly passed the baggage check, but for some reason I was stopped. What are those metal discs in your suitcase? Metal discs? I don't know. We need to check it. Open your suitcase. I had to pull the cover off. It pissed me off because putting it on had by no means been easy. Then I rummaged through my things and saw something that wasn't supposed to be there. Hold on a sec. It was Chuck's sports equipment. It probably hadn't fit in his suitcase and he tried to sneak it into mine. All right, you can pass. I put my things back and pulled the cover over my suitcase again. Whew. Then during the next check, it turned out my backpack was too heavy. The weight is over by about a pound. You can put some things from your backpack into your suitcase. I imagined taking off the cover again and felt like crying. In the end, I had to throw out a bunch of bananas I was going to eat later. There was a kid sitting next to me behind the plane. He was crying, kicking my chair, and pulling my hair the whole flight. Chuck and Zayn found it hilarious. As you might imagine, I was absolutely done with that entire trip by the time we landed. But to my surprise, I liked the camp. It resembled a hotel. There were 2 large houses there. When we checked in, it turned out the camp was very popular. We were lucky Dad managed to get us tickets. And then I found out something that left me speechless. There were only boys in the house we were going to be staying in. All the other kids were members of a boys' basketball team. I was the only girl there. Chuck and Zayn became roommates, and I was given a separate room. There was a basketball court and a gym and even a large swimming pool at the camp. When I went for a walk, all the boys stared at me. "Hey, join us! What's your name?" Being the center of attention made me blush. The next day, nothing changed. Whenever I went, boys kept trying to talk to me. "Let me get you some juice." "I'm not thirsty." Soon I got so tired of it all, I started sneaking away to the beach to be left alone. I enjoyed listening to my favorite music and watching the waves. I accidentally overheard the boys calling me aloof once. One day, I was walking along the beach. It was an ordinary morning, at least until I thought I stumbled into Hayao Miyazaki's universe. The guy looked just like my favorite character. My heart immediately started racing. I stared at his muscles, and he noticed it. He smiled and turned red as a lobster. The guy of my dreams ran up to me. I didn't know what to say. "Hi, I'm Jake. Are you a camper too?" "Yeah, I'm Naomi." It turned out Jake was captain of the basketball team. He only arrived that morning. We chatted for a while, and then Jake walked me to the camp. "See you later." I couldn't stop thinking about him all evening. The next day, instead of going to the beach, I walked by the basketball court. Soon the whole team came there, including the captain. "Let's get started." The boys showed off, but I only had eyes for Jake. At some point, one of the players suddenly ran up to me and picked me up. "Oh! Come on, throw the ball." He lifted me up to the hoop and I threw the ball in. I did it! The winning team cheered and started to throw me up into the air. It was nice, but also a bit awkward. I got into another weird situation that evening. I was so distracted thinking about Jake, I didn't even look at the sign on the door and accidentally walked into the boys' bathroom. It was a disaster. Luckily, all the boys were standing in the booths. I wanted to go for a swim in the pool, but I was too shy to wear a bikini in front of the guys. So I got up early in the morning and came to the pool when no one was there. But when I was swimming, boys suddenly came outside. I wanted to quickly get out of the water, but then my bikini became undone. Dang it! It was like I was stuck in a living nightmare. My cheeks were burning. I pressed myself against the side of the pool and tried to fasten my top. The boys didn't take their eyes off me. I couldn't seem to find the clasp. I was red as a lobster by the time Jake came up to the pool. "Go to the canteen and quit staring." I finally succeeded and fastened my top. Jake earned a few more points in my eyes. He was perfect. At breakfast, Jake sat down next to me. "I like your clothes. Do you like anime?" When I nodded, Jake surprised me again. "So do I. I love everything by Hayao Miyazaki." My heart fluttered. No one could be that perfect, could they? It turned out they could. Jake and I liked the same anime and even the same characters. At some point, I noticed that Zayn was watching us. The next time I saw him was when Jake and I were walking along the beach. Was he following us? One day, Zayn caught me when I was on the way to my room. "Jake is not the right guy for you." I exploded like a pressure cooker. First Chris, now Jake? Who do you think I should go out with? Stop meddling in my life. I slammed the door in Zayn's face. The next morning, I decided to talk to Chuck. It was about time he put his friend in his place. But when I walked into their room, Zayn was the only one in it. I was about to leave, but then I saw my diary in his hands. "Are you going through my stuff now? Why do you have my diary?" "I didn't take it. I found it on Jake's bed. He's our roommate too." "Are you saying Jake stole my diary?" "Why else would it be here?" "Because you're just lying. Why won't you leave me alone?" "What's going on?" "Your friend is a psycho. Do me a favor and make sure he stays away from me." It seemed he finally realized I was serious. The next day, neither Zayn nor Chuck came close to me, but in the evening, all the campers gathered on the beach to play Truth or Dare. At first, everything was fine, but then it was Chuck's turn. Of all the participants, he chose me. Truth or Dare? Dare. Apologize to Zayn for what you said to him yesterday. I got up. The nerve of him. I'd rather kiss a slug than apologize to him. I stormed off to my room, but Chuck caught up to me by the front door. "You humiliated Zayn in front of everyone. Don't you get it? He deserved it." "No, he didn't. All you think about is anime. That's why you never notice anything around you." "Do you know what Chris did? A year ago, he stole Zayn's girlfriend and then dumped her. He treats girls like trophies, and Jake is the same." The truth about Chris hurt to hear, but I was sure Jake was different. "Just mind your own business." Shortly before leaving the camp, we all boarded 2 boats and went on a trip to an uninhabited island. Once we were in the open ocean, I got nervous. I could swim in a pool just fine, but now it scared me how deep it was. Jake came up to me and put his arm around my shoulders. "Are you scared?" "Just a bit uneasy." easy. Don't worry, everyone is afraid of something. I'm scared to death of spiders." His words made me feel a little better. The nature on the island was something else. We walked along the beach, looked at tropical plants, and visited a stunning waterfall. We swam and took cool pictures. When everyone headed back to the beach, Jake and I lingered by the waterfall and fell a little behind. At some point, he suddenly brushed my hair out of my face and leaned close to me. Was he going to kiss me? OMG. When we kissed, I felt like an anime heroine again. Butterflies fluttered in my stomach, and my knees got weak. After the kiss, I pulled away from Jake and looked away, feeling shy. We went back to the boats, but then I realized I'd forgotten my phone by the waterfall. "Go on, I'll catch up." It took me a long time to find my phone. It turned out it had fallen into a crevice between the rocks. My stomach was in knots on the way back to the boats. It was getting dark and I took a wrong turn. As a result, I lost another 15 minutes. And when I finally got to the beach, the boats were no longer there. I only saw 2 small dots on the horizon. I watched them get smaller and couldn't believe it was really happening. Wait, but no one heard me. I felt like Jack Sparrow marooned by pirates on a desert island. How could they abandon me? Why hadn't Jake made them wait? Night fell and I started to panic. I was sitting on the shore and hugging my knees. Then, the roar of an engine broke the silence. A boat was sailing toward the island. When it got closer, I saw Zayn. Soon he was on the shore with me. "Are you cold?" He draped his bomber jacket over my shoulders and helped me get on the boat. "Why did you come back for me?" "You said you were going on another boat, so we didn't wait for you. But when we arrived at the camp, Chuck and I noticed that you weren't there. My dad's company builds boats, so I know how to drive them. I went back for you right away." "But why?" "Because I care about you. I know I've been rude to you, but that was because I wanted to protect you." Zayn's words shocked me. Maybe he wasn't as bad as I thought. Actually, I think I overreacted too. Is that an apology I hear? "Wouldn't you rather kiss a slug?" I laughed awkwardly. The next morning, I decided to ask Jake what happened the day before. When I walked by the boys from the basketball team, they gave me a weird look and burst out laughing. Jake was practicing on the court. "Why did you leave me yesterday?" "Leave you? I didn't even notice you weren't there." "Did you really think I liked you?" Jake took his phone and showed me a video of our kiss. When had he even filmed it? It turned out he had a bet with his friends from the team he would kiss the aloof girl. I felt so humiliated, I wanted to sink through the floor. Tears stung my eyes, and I left before Jake could see them. I found a nook, sat down on the floor, and burst into tears. My heart had been broken again. All of a sudden, someone sat down next to me. I opened my eyes and saw Zayn. He sighed and put my head on his shoulder. "Don't cry, kid. He's not worth it." Zayn's behavior baffled me again. I froze, but then gracefully buried my face in his shoulder. The next day, it was time to leave the camp, but I still had some unfinished business. I needed to get back at Jake. There was a terrarium at the camp. I caught the spider living there, came to the basketball team's practice, and sneaked up to Jake and Jake squirmed and screeched like a girl. When he saw the spider, he almost fainted. All the basketball players were dying laughing. At some point, I saw Zayn. He smiled and gave me a thumbs up. When we came back home, I made up with Chuck. Our parents were on cloud 9. One day, I decided to rewatch my favorite anime. I prepared a ton of snacks and went to the living room. To my shock, Zayn and Chuck sat down next to me. "Watching cartoons again? Let's see what all the fuss is about." "They're not. Anime is not a cartoon. I get it. Let's watch it already." Chuck and Zayn got really into anime. Can you believe it? Zayn even asked me for some recommendations. He wanted to watch something with a lot of action. Sometimes people are not what they seem, and sometimes those we can't stand turn out to be good. I recently realized that I like Zayn, but he sees me as a younger sister, and I've already got burned twice. What do you think I should do? Confess to Zayn or keep quiet about my feelings?